Let's say you're usually a very confident guy who's too charismatic, who's too confident, who's too upfront with what he thinks, with getting his word across. But there comes a point, most of you are going to relate to what I'm trying to say right now. I feel this at least, I've been through it. You kind of aren't that charismatic when that one guy shows up who is at a different echelon. You respect him too much. But many a times when you do this, there comes a situation where you wouldn't even realize you're gonna lose your opportunity if you try to do that. Make sure you listen to what I'm trying to say right now, because this is gonna save your life and your future. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna come across a situation like this at least once in your life. You need to not like that person. Understand the context behind this. You shouldn't hate the guy. You shouldn't be like, oh, well, I don't like him. We've got some personal issues. No, nothing like that. You should not like the guy for that moment. All right. When you do that, your subconscious is gonna, have that sense of ease that, you could speak whatever you want, even in that moment. 99% of people who are at the higher echelon, when you give them the opportunity to speak, when you've been charismatic before they showed up, when the time comes when they show up, and you kind of step back, they get this thought, that split second, that this guy is not that knowledgeable. He just moved out because I'm in here, and I don't know, it just downgrades you in their minds. We don't need that. I don't need that. I don't want you to have that. All right. All you have to do in this time, for that specific time frame, again, no personal issues. Nothing like that. But you should not like the person for that specific moment. In your mind, you're going to have so much, window, or I'd say, free will, if that's the right word to use here, that, you could get your word across in the right way. Think about this scenario as an example. There is a person you do not like. Your solution to a problem at a workplace is logical when compared to the other guy. It's way more logical, your point. And you try to get it across. And that person, your coworker, you try to, discuss it with him. And he's not agreeing with what you're trying to say. He's not agreeing with your perspective that, it could lead to a better outcome. At that time, when you don't like that person, here we're talking about some personal whatever. If you don't like that person, as a person himself, not with his skills, not with his, the way he works, nothing like that. But personally, that personality, if you don't like it, you're going to be man enough to get your word across. You're going to be man enough to put down the facts why you think that your solution is a better one when compared to his. When you feel like, you're stepping back and giving him a position to let him express, just know that the other person thinks that you backed out because you're not that knowledgeable anymore. You need to portray yourself throughout the time, where no matter what it is, be it a presentation, be it, you working on a day-to-day basis at a workplace, or you being the CEO or the chairman of your venture, whatever it is, when you see people who have more links, who are at a higher net worth, or know more people, or have, way more influence than you, many times you come across these kind of people. You shouldn't back down. You shouldn't back down. You shouldn't fight, but you shouldn't back down in a way that you're not able to express what you know, your skill set, your ability to talk, your charismatic personality. That charismatic level shouldn't go down. That's it. When you maintain that level of confidence in front of people, even who are at the higher echelon, doors are going to open in a way which you never thought they could. Have this thought in your mind that, I'm okay to not like that person. All right. It's at the end of the day, like I said, apart from family is different. You've got emotions, you've got relationships, you've got whatever. But when it comes to your financial aspects, work, business, you trying to set up a freelancing company, there are many different things. When push comes to shove, all you're working for is money. They're working for money, they're working for recognition, influence, you're working for the same. And all you have to do is portray yourself in the best way possible. And to the guys, you sometimes back down. You gotta agree with what I'm trying to say. There has been, just, review whatever you've been through. There have been times where you back down, where you could have been more charismatic, where you could have been more confident, where you could have let your word come across. You had that opportunity to do that. But you kind of backed down, maybe because you wanted to let the other person who you respect a lot, who you kind of see at a whole different level. You wanted him to, speak more. Even when you tried to answer whatever question they had, you weren't that charismatic, you weren't that confident. I want you to be more confident and more charismatic at that specific moment. And how to do that? You should, in your mind, you should be fine to even think that it's okay even if I do not like that person, right? I'm fine with not liking that person. When you think about it in this manner, the mindset shift, that you've placed them in a position where you are fine. Even in that specific situation, that very second, you're fine to not like that person. You're gonna open up, you're gonna breathe, you're gonna relax, because you're not that nervous anymore. You're not that scared, you're not that anxious. Because you're okay if that person doesn't like you, and you're okay if you do not like that person. You don't put him in a position where you respect him so much that you can't even think about not liking that person. You should put him in a position in your mind where you should be like, I'm fine even if I don't like this person, all right? Ain't a big deal. And this is in your thoughts. It shouldn't come across when you start speaking. It shouldn't come across that you're rude. It shouldn't come across, that you're arrogant. It shouldn't come across that you're cocky. Nothing like that. You should be the same person with the same skill set, with the same sense of knowledge, who wants to portray whatever he knows in a proper, formal way, in a way that he wants to, in which, he's in a position where people appreciate him. You should do it in that manner, but in your mind, you should be like, I'm fine even if I don't like these people. You have to be that person. Nobody will tell you about this, all right? Even though most of the people do this, nobody's gonna talk about this. You can find so many videos on YouTube or whichever platform you wanna search. Nobody, I repeat, nobody would have given this advice to you till date. Nobody. When you do this, doors open. Doors which you never thought could open for you. Opportunities, chances, situations where you have to give a commendable shot. All of these come in front of you once you do what I told you. Because you're charismatic every single time. You're not going on and off and on and off, no. You're charismatic throughout the process. Where, your position, the level of respect, your echelon that you're cruising on right now, which you think that you're on right now, when all of that was at stake, you have to be charismatic. You have to be. And whatever I told you is going to help with that no matter what, period.